Hey everybody, thanks for joining us again, and thanks for watching our original video, the intro to the Anxiety Busters. I hope I was able to share, as much information that you were looking for when you came to see the video. I know it was a lot about myself, and there's a lot to really talk about when it comes to anxiety. I mean, there's a wealth of knowledge and information that I have experienced over the last 2 decades and wanted to share with you. On that note, today's video is going to be really focused on anxiety and the creativity behind it, and how we develop it, and the causes, etc., and the nature of anxiety. It's really integral to us getting to the next place in our life. The next journey in life is to first understand what we are dealing with and embracing it, and then moving forward so that we can look into our own lives and go through this journey that will take us to a better place. The half of the problem is understanding or half of the solution to a problem is understanding what you're actually going through. As mentioned before, also in the near future, as I'm going to be releasing videos, I am taking a course from Kyle Cease, which is a 21-day course, which I'm really excited about, because that's a journey that I've actually been kind of going down that path anyways, and it's really focused about, I'm hoping, well, I haven't really taken it yet, so I couldn't tell you, but I'm really excited about it, and I think that it's going to be a wealth of information for all of us that have suffered from anxiety, and a different approach to just life in general. And that's really something that I'm looking forward to sharing with you all, my input as to what's been going on. I'll also be sharing with you other videos as to different types of techniques you can use to help you alleviate the anxiety as you're going through it. And also, I would like to hear from any of you out there that if you do have something that you'd like to discuss and share, or a topic that you'd like to know more about, we'd be more than happy to do a video about it possibly, and put it together for you. Just email us at theanxietybusters@gmail.com. So I look forward to sharing with you about anxiety, and stay tuned. Okay, thank you for coming back. For those that don't recognize me from the original video, that's because I decided to shave my beard, and this is me clean shaven. In regards to the topic today, anxiety and creativity. Anxiety is actually something that we all really need in our lives. Not necessarily to the degree that people that suffer from generalized anxiety disorder or panic disorder, etc., but to the point where it's actually a natural instinct in the human being to have anxiety. So let's take a step back and just understand. The body's is very complex, obviously, as we learn about ourselves, and we'll understand that. Going from the inside to the outside. What I mean is, for example, when you suffer from an infection, you're fighting a bronchitis or etc. So you create a certain amount of white blood cells, or your white blood cell counts usually go up when you suffer from an infection. And partially it's because the body's producing within its blood is antibodies to try to fight and to fight the infection that you're going through. And these are mechanisms built in within our body, and it's amazing how much the body has to offer. But these are mechanisms built in within us to protect us. And it's kind of like the same idea, I kind of say, you never heard of someone falling flat on their face. I mean, there's never been a person falling flat on their face. Unless someone's tying your hands behind your back, you're not falling flat on your face, simply because the natural instinct or the reaction of a human being is to immediately put their hands out and protect themselves. They have that trust test, that everybody's trust me, or learn to trust each other, where someone falls backwards and you kind of fold your arms and just fall backwards. And You know, that's a big faith, you know, to put yourself in someone else's hands. Well, you know, because naturally the body doesn't want to fall. Naturally, the body's going to be looking for ways to protect itself. Now that we kind of understand what the body in generally does, and it does it in all aspects. I mean, I'm sure if you start paying a little bit more attention to your daily functions, that you'll notice that that is the nature of the body. Same, you know, whether you're tripping and trying to catch your fall, etc. Anxiety is a natural thing also. Anxiety is basically the body's fight or flight instinct. It's normal for us to protect ourselves when we're put into a certain situation. Example, if you were being robbed, or if someone is in the middle of the woods and there's a bear chasing them, the immediate reaction of the body is fight or flight. It's either you're either going to fight and defend yourself, or you're going to find a way to really jet and get out of there. I mean, you're not going to sit there and shake the bear's hand, right? And it's a natural instinct and an important instinct of the body. It's important protection of the body. It's not something that we want to lose. So given that, noted that, there are several schools of thought as to what is the how would you say it? What is the source of the anxiety? Where is it coming from? Is it a chemical imbalance? Is it something that well, you know, you can say psychologically, it could be chemical imbalance too, but you know, is it something that is created from within your own thoughts, and you're creating this chemistry within, which is something along the lines of where I journeyed down, because I believe that we're all a product of our upbringing, and in essence that's what happens, is that things that we've unfortunately have been suppressed for us as children, when we're adults we don't know how to actually deal with those emotions. And I'll get back to that in a moment, but let's talk about, for example, the chemical imbalance. Well, there are many parts and functions to your brains, the medulla, whatever, all these. I can sit here and probably draw your brain, your brain out and explain to you why, and the different senses in your brain that pick up on the smells, etc., and the faster processes of it. And what ends up happening is we get, you know, a lot of people that do suffer from anxiety are prescribed what we call SSRI inhibitors. And that's basically a serotonin. SSRI is a serotonin inhibitor, and what that does is it actually stops what they've found through research is that there's once your brain gets into this wave of thinking, what happens is there's an influx of serotonin which is pushed into your body, in which creates a chemistry. I don't remember the name of what it triggers, but ultimately somehow it triggers the adrenaline in you, and in essence, hence you have that fight or flight response. I'm not the first thing I want to take is a step back, and I want to talk about the stigma that people think is a stigma of it being a chemical imbalance. Well, let's assume it was, and I don't believe it is, but let's assume it was. So what? Does that make me a lunatic? Does that make me crazy? Why do I have to label myself? I think in this world we do so much labeling, enough damage, there's no need for that. I think that even if it is a chemical imbalance, and even if you are taking medication, well, good for you. I think that's a great thing. And there's nothing to be ashamed of if you are suffering from anxiety. It's something that you need to embrace, and there should be more awareness out there of people that do suffer from anxiety, and from people that don't know what anxiety is. Unfortunately, there's not that much data or that's being pushed to people that don't suffer from it. For those that do suffer from it, feel somewhat alienated, and it's a very big issue. And that's what tends to cause people to close up their world, because they think everybody's looking at them, they're crazy, etc., etc. I've been there, so I'm talking to you from my own experience. Well, given that as it may, and I don't necessarily buy that it is, but given that as it may, I don't care about the stigma. Here I am talking to you about it, so I have no fear about it. It doesn't bother me. I'm happy to know that I have it. I'm accepting of that I have it. And I think that's been very freeing for me to actually go through this journey that I've really accomplished, more so in the last year than the last 2 decades that I've dealt with it. Now I've accomplished a lot over that period of time, but now I'm going to take it to a level that with you, to a level that you've never experienced before, where you can actually finally embrace anxiety and feel good about the fact that you have it. And that's my goal. And going to the psychological part of it, I think this is where it actually stems from, is we tend to, given we are how we were brought up. We are a development of our upbringing. So, as I gave an example in the initial video, when I first, in the intro, whenever I get angry, I get this huge response and a huge wave of anxiety that comes over me. In fact, I find it to be the most vicious from all my anxiety attacks. And naturally, it got me to thinking, like, why specifically anger? And as a child, I realized that was something that was suppressed in me. I was not allowed to express that emotion. I don't know why. I don't remember exactly how, but I do remember that, emotionally, I was held back in certain ways. And that wasn't the only emotion, but that's one that I do realize is a trigger. So, when your body is at the point that you're actually as an adult now, and you're suffering from anxiety, and you're having anger, your body doesn't know how to react to an emotion that has been suppressed, because naturally you should be really yelling, screaming, but you're not. You don't know how to place your anger properly, and that confuses the body, and in a sense it kind of feels like it's something out of place, and that triggers you to have this emotional response of anxiety. It's very typical, and that's why I am saying this is a journey. This is a journey for us to go through in order that we can understand what it was, what we had gone through in our childhood, and to be able to take that and learn through our childhood and then come back to our lives today and then be able to actually appreciate and accept it about ourselves, which will then lead us not only to an amazing journey in life, but lead us to a better life in the future. Because again, I believe that once we've actually learned about ourselves, we can actually start letting go on a lot of these fears and these misconceptions or misguided misconceptions that we grew up with will start to dissipate. Hence, it's a difficult thing, and there's no reason why we should have to live with that. On that note, what I would also like to mention is that I decided, a conscious decision, not to discuss about my personal, how would you say it? My personal experiences with anxiety, my symptoms. That's what I'm looking for, the word. And the reason why I chose not to discuss symptoms is because if I were to mention a symptom and you had never experienced it, and this is very important, and I really need you to focus now. If I mention the symptom, and I'm going to use a funny one because it's never happened, that, I became a clown, right? Well, you're going to impressively, within the next 3 days, somehow become a clown. And obviously that's not a symptom, but the point is that how creative your mind is, that it will take a symptom that it's never had before, from myself, right? And I mentioned the symptom to you, and I'm not saying with a clown it would work, but if I had actually mentioned a symptom, it would. And had you never suffered it before, you will start suffering it. And the reason is the creativity of the mind. And it's amazing thing about all of us that suffer from anxiety is that we have such intelligence and creativity that we're able to actually create it to a degree where our bodies actually feeling it. It's going through it. It's having these symptoms, which I still choose not to mention. And had you never had it before, you'll develop it now because you heard about it. And if we could just capture that creativity, and that's what we will do, and after we had gone through our journey, and take that amazing creativity and that amazing intelligence that we all are capable of, and take that and apply it to our callings in life and what we really want to focus on, and our higher callings in life, and what really truly excites us, with a open vision and not such a closed vision, controlling people that we are, given that we suffer from anxiety because we need to control everything, even to the T, so that we don't have anxiety. How amazing would our lives be? I mean, if we can actually physically change our body's chemistry, how much could we change our greatest desires and our greatest wants? And that's something that's really should be a focal point for the future, going down this journey with me, because you have within you an amazing creativity that you're just focusing in the wrong place. And I had actually mentioned in that we're controlling. Yes, we are. That's our nature. Our nature is to be controlling. We want to control our situation, and that's part of the challenge. Is in order to really get through the anxiety, we need to start letting go. We need to start embracing. What we're doing is we're trying to control our situations to prevent that feeling of not knowing. And the feeling of not knowing is so much more crazier than the feeling of being able to know, which means that we're controlling. If we're open to not knowing, we would be so much more relaxed and calm and within a zen. And that's what my goal is to take us through this journey, to take us all through this journey, which I know we will. And I will make sure that everybody, or at least I hope I can, to do the best that I can for all of you that are watching and go through this journey with me, to ensure that we get to that goal of being in that zen and letting go and embracing and using our creativity to make us a better life. And I thank you all for the outpour of likes on Facebook, Anxiety Busters, 2 words, Anxiety Busters on Facebook. If you have any questions going forward, please, I ask you to leave us or send us an email with something you'd like to discuss, or topic, etc. And thank you for watching, and I look for only success.